After a very solid rookie season for Drake May, I think the Patriots are going to have a much better season in his second year. Just looking all around the roster, they've really made some significant additions. Stephon Diggs at the wide receiver position, one of the biggest ones. As long as he can keep the off-field drama to a minimum, I think the Patriots are going to have a much better offense than they did last year, which is going to lead to them having a much better season as a whole. Their first game going to be against the Raiders at home, and the Raiders are actually a team that we think might have one of the most fun rosters to watch. When you look at their offense, adding Ashton Jeanty through the NFL draft, also drafting a defensive tackle from Ole Miss who had multiple rushing touchdowns, and bringing in Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator from Ohio State. They're going to be a fun team this year. The Patriots do have the home field advantage in week one. I think this is going to be a really close game. We're actually pretty high on both of these teams compared to a lot of people. So this is a tough game for us to pick, but we have the Raiders pulling off the upset on the road in week one.
Week two is the first divisional game. It's a road trip against the Dolphins, and we're not very high on this Dolphins team, even though they have a pretty solid offense with Tua, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. All of those players have major injury concerns, and if they're not all on the field at the same time, then this Dolphins offense will struggle. And then defensively, it's almost non-existent. Their secondary is really, really bad. Their defensive line's not horrible, especially with the addition of Kenneth Grant from Michigan. But I really don't think this Dolphins team is going to be very good. This is going to be their best chance to get some wins earlier on in the season when everyone is healthy. But despite all that, like Jonah said, the Patriots just have something going on that feels right. The defense, especially the secondary, is going to be very good with Christian Gonzalez leading that. And then offensively, Drake May continues to be successful like he was towards the second half of last season, along with the addition of Will Campbell on the offensive line and Trevion Henderson in the backfield. This Patriots team will be very, very good. And then they play the Steelers in week three. Steelers brought in Aaron Rodgers to be their starting quarterback after a brief stint in New York with the Jets. Did not go according to plan. And he can make this team fairly decent because he was a serviceable quarterback last year for New York, and he has DK Metcalf as his star wide receiver. But the offense outside of that is leaving a little bit to be desired. The defense is still going to be very good, though. You still have TJ Watt coming off the edge. You have a secondary that now consists of Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., and Darius Slay. It's going to be a very tough defense to score against, but an offense that may have its issues, especially early on in the season. We're actually going to go with the Patriots here because I trust their offense to figure it out against a tough defense. And the Patriots defense is going to be able to hold the Steelers offense to less points, especially at home here. It's going to be a tough game and really will shape both these teams' seasons earlier on. But for right now, the Patriots get the win and move to 2-1.
Then it's a matchup at home with the Panthers. And I think that they're going to have a pretty solid year, kind of similar to the Patriots. They kind of heated up towards the end of the season. And this year, Bryce Young is going to have a much better season. They drafted Tyrone McMillan to be his wide receiver one. I think they'll have a really solid connection. So the offense definitely going to be better. Tried to make a few improvements on defense as well. I think overall, the Panthers just got a lot better. And while they may not make the playoffs this year, they're in a very similar boat to the Patriots. So this was also a really tough game for us to pick. We did go with the home team, though, and gave the Patriots this win. This is one of those ones that really could go either way. The next matchup, not so much. That's the road trip to face the Bills. The Bills are the best team in the division once again this season. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They have Josh Allen at quarterback. He's going to have a very solid year as the defending MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Just all around, this is one of the best teams in the NFL. The Bills are going to win this game without a doubt. And what a contrast going from playing the Bills to playing the Saints on the road. The Saints are going to be arguably the worst team in the NFL. They drafted Tyler Shuff in the second round. and it's not been looking good so far for New Orleans. They very well could win 0 games next year. They're going to be that bad. They have a few solid players, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Chase Young, but overall, just not enough that it's going to make any difference. I think the Saints are going to get absolutely blown out in this game.
And the schedule stays pretty easy after that with a road trip against the Titans, who have the number one overall draft pick on their team, Cam Ward, as their starting quarterback. And he has some fairly solid weapons. He has Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett as his wide receivers, who, even though they are a little bit older, still are able to produce solid numbers. But the rest of this Titans team is just so far off from being able to compete, and this Patriots team has been rebuilding pretty quickly. I think this is another pretty easy win for them here on the road. And then they host the Browns. This 3 game stretch of the Saints, Titans, and Browns is so funny because these are three of the worst teams in the NFL. And the Browns have such an interesting quarterback situation. Joe Flacco has been named the starting quarterback for week 1, and we'll see if he remains the starting quarterback, considering that they are keeping the other 3 quarterbacks behind him in Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Could be any of these quarterbacks by this point in the season against the Patriots. I don't think either of them really makes a difference. Yes, the Browns have a couple weapons on offense, and the defense is still going to be very good with Myles Garrett and Mason Graham on the defensive line and a secondary that is very, very good as well, led by Denzel Ward. But there's just not enough on offense to move the needle in the Browns' direction. The Patriots rattle off 3 wins against the worst teams in the NFL before a matchup with the Atlanta Falcons.
And we think the Falcons are going to have a pretty solid season this year. It's going to be Michael Penix Jr.'s first full season as the starting quarterback, and I think he has a lot of really solid weapons on offense to make it a successful year. The defense also looks very good, especially the secondary. I think the biggest concern is the defensive line. They drafted a few guys there who have a lot of potential but are very young, so I think that will cost them a few games this season. This game against the Patriots, though, I think they definitely should win. It's going to be a really close one, but the Falcons just seem like they have a very solid team that should be able to beat some of the more middle tier teams in the NFL, I would say. They can compete against the top tier teams, but these games against teams like the Patriots, I think they should be able to win, even though the Patriots are at home. Then it's a road trip to face the Buccaneers, and this is going to be one of the scariest offenses in the entire league. Baker Mayfield at quarterback, the running back duo of Rashad White and Bucky Irving, and a wide receiver core of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka. This is just a great offense. So the Patriots are going to have a fit trying to stop them from scoring. I just don't see how they're going to be able to A, stop them from scoring, and B, keep up with that scoring. So I think this one's also a little bit of a no-brainer. Buccaneers should win this game, which drops the Patriots to 6-4.
It's a Thursday night matchup against the New York Jets, and the Jets are in kind of a similar situation to the Patriots in a way. They both have young experimental offenses, with the Jets bringing in Justin Fields to be their starting quarterback, pairing him back up with Garrett Wilson, along with already having Breece Hall in the backfield. And they have potential if Justin Fields is able to play to the caliber that he was supposed to be when he was drafted by the Chicago Bears at the 10th overall pick. But if he's not able to play that well, then the Jets will struggle quite a bit. I do think Drake May is more for sure at this point. His ceiling might not be as high as Justin Fields, but Drake May is definitely a more consistent quarterback. I don't think he can single-handedly lose games for the Patriots here. I think there's too many weapons on this Patriots offense for them to struggle that much against the Jets, even though they have one of the better secondaries in the NFL with led by Sauce Gardner. I do think the Patriots get the win here at home over the Jets. And then they are on the road against the Bengals. And once again, one of the toughest offenses to play against. Joe Burrow, Chase Brown in the backfield. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as wide receivers. Just an absolutely stacked offense. But this defense is going to be interesting. The secondary is pretty bad. And They did have the potential to be even worse, but Trey Hendrickson recently signed an extension with the Bengals to end his holdout, and he is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So that boosts the Bengals' chances against some of these middle of the pack teams because they actually will have a little bit of a defense this time. Definitely a game the Patriots have potential in, even if it is on the road. But the Bengals are just the more experienced team at this point. Definitely could see an upset here, but the Bengals will get the win for right now.
Then it's a Monday Night Football matchup with the New York Giants. And the Giants at this point, I'm not sure who the starting quarterback will be. Russell Wilson named the starter for week one. I'm sure he'll be the starter for at least the first half of the season, but at some point they might want to get a look at Jameis Winston. They might want to get a look at their first round draft pick, Jackson Dart, as well. So that makes this one a little bit tougher to predict, but I think that nonetheless, the Patriots are the better team here. And there's really no reason they should be losing this game, regardless of who the starting quarterback is. I get that the Giants have been rebuilding. They've had high draft picks. Those draft picks have all done very well. Soon is in the next couple years, I think the Giants will be a very good team. But for right now, they're still pretty young. I think the Patriots will get the better of them moving to 8-5. And then after the bye week, this stretch of games is going to be tough, especially these next two. Bills and Ravens kind of can group them into one here. The Bills, we saw how the first matchup went. I really don't think the second one will be much different. They're just the better team, and they're going to get that win. Same thing with the Ravens. They are significantly better than the Patriots. And you have the should have been defending MVP in Lamar Jackson, depending on who you talk to. It was a close battle between him and Josh Allen. I think Lamar Jackson has a great shot at getting one this season, though. He is going to have a very solid year. So are the Ravens. They are a very similar team talent-wise to the Buffalo Bills. So again, I think this is a game where we don't really see the Patriots have much of a chance. Ravens will get that win, which drops the Patriots almost all the way down to 500.
And they have two divisional matchups to end their season. First one is a road trip against the New York Jets. And we already talked about it. The Jets are kind of a similar team to the Patriots. I do think it's very likely that we will actually see them split this series. I think in game two, the Jets will have a better game plan to stop Drake May or limit some of the big plays. And I think at this point in the season, Justin Fields will be very comfortable in this offense. Throw in the fact that this is at home for the Jets. I think the home field advantage will be the deciding factor and will actually drop the Patriots to 500 going into that last matchup against the Dolphins. And we already talked about it. The Dolphins' health is going to be their biggest concern. If they can stay healthy, they can be a decent team. But at this point in the season, when we don't think they will be playing for much, I doubt some of their biggest playmakers will actually be in this game. And even if they were, I still think the Patriots are a better team. I think Christian Gonzalez in the secondary is one of the best young cornerbacks that we will see in the NFL. I think he keeps getting better year after year. And this offense looks like it's going to be really fun and explosive. I do think the Patriots can sweep the series against the Dolphins this year, which has them finishing at 9-8.
That is a massive improvement over their record of 4-13 last season. And I think that even this year, their floor is going to be higher than what they did last year. I really like the way that the Patriots finished the season, and that's one of the reasons that we are much higher on them this year. The ceiling going to be 11-6. I think there were a couple games on here we had them losing that could potentially go the other way. So if everybody has a great year, Stephon Diggs really is going to have to come back from that injury specifically for this record prediction to come true at 11-6. But I think the Patriots can do it. The Vegas over/under is at 8.5. It's slightly favored towards the under, but still not very far from where we have them predicted at 9-8.
It is a little bold to say that the Patriots will complete a pretty fast rebuild here in year two with Drake May, but I do think this is a roster that has potential to compete in a pretty lackluster division outside of the Buffalo Bills. I wouldn't be surprised if this team goes from being in dead last in the division, two finishing as the second place team, and actually being a pretty competitive one against some of the better teams in the NFL. While we do have the Bills beating them both times, I think it can be a close game, especially in New England. But at the end of the day, this is still a very young team. Saying that they will make the playoffs or actually beat the Bills is a bit of a stretch at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if they start to make some playoff pushes in the next couple seasons once Drake May has established himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But for right now, I do think one game above 500 is going to be a very, very nice outcome for Patriots fans and one that I think is actually very attainable with this schedule. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more of our videos, and we'll see you in the next one.